No, dead. They're all dead.
Mamma mia!
The following views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the producers, hosts, and or guests of the Bittermarks podcast. We assume no responsibility for any errors or omissions in the content provided.
Listener discretion is advised.
Bittermarks! Bittermarks! What's up, smooth babies? Welcome to Bittermarks. It's your favorite non-wrestling wrestling podcast coming to you every single Friday morning. Bittermarks.com or wherever you get your podcasts from. This is your first time joining us. Thanks for checking us out. If you're listening on the audio end of things, feel free to join us Tuesday nights live at 9:05. That's right. We can rhyme here on our YouTube page. We stream live every single Tuesday at 9:05 p.m. And you can, there's a chat in there, and we can talk, and you can ask questions. If you're old school and you just like to email, that's cool too. Feel free to ask us anything you want. bittermarks@gmail.com. That is the best way to get a hold of us. And you can ask us anything you want. And honestly, whether you've emailed this show before or not, I would like everybody to email us their Mount Rushmore of wrestlers they hate. Who's the top 4 wrestlers that you absolutely can't stand and why? I know a lot of our regular listeners and who they like and all that kind of stuff, but I want to know who you hate and specifically why you hate them. Anyway, I'm your host. My name is Sasha, and I'm joined by my dear friend. He's a streaming king. Stream king. King Stream. It's Pee-wee.
I'm here. What's going on? I am the Stream King. I love running this show. I'm the captain of this ship.
I'm trying to figure out a good nickname. Stream is good. It's like urine. King, maybe not so much. But what's going on, Pee-wee? How you doing today?
Good, man. I'm very good. I feel like we are slowly but surely getting this live stream thing under control, and it's getting smoother and smoother every week. And I have more and more free time every week, so I'm able to add more and more graphics and more and more fun stuff. So I'm hoping, if you guys aren't already joining us, you're going to join us next week at 9:05 every Tuesday. And yeah, I'm thrilled to be here today, man. I'm not normally my typical nervous self. I'm just laid back, had a great week. Let's rock and roll.
Hell yeah. I love how you're building things here. I see you've added a character to the bottom of the screen. And I think you know what has to come after one character.
I think there were demands that were made after that, but yes, I can make that happen. Tune in next week to find out the next character that gets added onto the bottom of the screen.
I think we should have one character up until the 200th episode, and it'll be like, who will be number 200? We don't know enough people to make it that far. So.
I agree. You're not going to be able to tell who I'm adding after like 50 more guys. It's going to get very, very crowded down there. But yeah, I'm in. Yeah, we can make that happen.
Let's bring in our dear friend. We are joined by the punctual prince of podcasting from parts unknown Illinois. It's producer Tony.
What's up, everybody? How we doing this lovely Tuesday night on the live version of the Bittermarks podcast?
Woo! We're doing good. I love that picture. You went from one great picture to another great picture. I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit later on today.
Oh, yeah, we will. We definitely will.
I wanted to start things off by giving you guys the most wanted information of this podcast. I got my truck back.
Hey,
Woo!
That's awesome.
How bad is the cigarette smell?
I believe the cigarettes canceled out the COVID, so I'm pretty okay in that territory. I am not okay in the wallet territory, as
it was rough.
They found out even more stuff that had to be fixed and whatever,
no.
and so it's rough. We're gonna need to start selling some stickers, and I got some on the way. We ordered some Bittermarks and some Huevos de Oro stickers. That being said, I'm going to send them to anyone who wants them for free, and it'll cost me postage. So that's not the right way.
Sign me
up. But yeah, absolutely. Got the truck fixed. Tomorrow is my second vaccine shot. So if I disappear, I will be in the Meyer Garden Center.
You got a Moderna or Pfizer, or what are you getting?
I'm Pfizering it up.
All right, that's what I had. and I was just tired the day after. But some people get absolutely wrecked sick.
Yeah, I've
the
heard
day after.
the entire
So,
spectrum of it, and I've heard some people get sicker on the first try than the second try, and
right.
whatever. It's just, we have to do it. I guess we don't have to do it, but I'm choosing to do it, so tomorrow's the second day. So after that, I believe I can just start licking things and doing whatever I feel like, because COVID mania is no longer running wild. Although I don't even think that's how it works. I think you can still get COVID. It's just not supposed to hurt you. I don't know. I don't pay attention to that crap.
I think Putski in the chat is calling dibs on your COVID.
Okay. I guess.
Is that allowed? Sure.
On my vaccine or the
I don't know.
actual
I
COVID?
don't know. Whatever he wants, he can have.
Thank you for
He called
joining us,
dibs. I
Putski.
mean,
I do want to say that we've added another celebrity to the Bittermarks Billy Joe Travis Memorial Crockett Cup Tag Team Golf Invitational happening on June 19th. I don't know if you guys if you even remembered about this thing, but I know our dear friend Ivica is going to join us, and now SWK.
oh yeah.
I love
So
that this
gonna
is
be
spreading. That's great.
So I don't know. I still don't think we have enough for a tag tournament. It might end up being a single person tournament.
A foursome game of golf, right?
Yeah, but we'll see what happens when we get
Still
there. But
more
we're
people
doing
than I thought you were going to get.
Saturday, June 19th, and more details to come. If you're interested, please just, like Putski does, just call dibs. And maybe that's what he was calling dibs on. Just in advance, he knew I was going to talk.
He did. He actually just clarified. I'm sure he wants to be a part of the golf game, but he also called dibs on the stickers you were talking about.
I also want to make sure that we announce that we're bad at this job. Specifically me. You guys don't have anything to do with this, but 2 weeks ago would have been Billy Joe Travis's 60th birthday, and we did not have a special event for
We
it.
didn't celebrate.
Oh my god.
Man.
So, shout out to the...
Only 60?
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
shocking. That is shocking.
Yeah, he died at 41, I want to say, something like that.
Okay.
In his prime.
Yeah, some may say that his entire life was his prime. I would be one of those.
Yeah,
people.
you're the guy that says that. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have echo in my ears, so I get to hear it even after I say it. No, I'm kidding. No echo. No echo.
Oh, you could see the worry on my face.
Yeah, Pee-wee's face dropped. He's like, oh shit.
So, for those joining us, if you're new to this podcast, please subscribe to our audio podcast. And like we've been trying to plug here nonstop, join us Tuesday nights, 9:05 live on our YouTube page. The best thing to do is just open up your YouTube and search Bittermarks Podcast. Join in on the fun. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes, I don't know. It looks like Putski's in there. I don't know who else is in the chat. Me and Putski, possibly. We're both just calling dibs on stuff. But absolutely come and join us. For those of you listening on the audio end of things, and on the YouTube, I guess I did add it there too. We released episode 3, where Pee-wee talks about the Jerry Lynn situation that he had.
Ah, okay. So that's not the episode we had Jerry Lynn on. That's the episode where the Jerry Lynn incident was described.
Yeah, and I was kind of nervous to post it because I'm like putting Jerry Lynn in the name of the episode again. So he's like, they're coming after me again? But it is a re-release from 2 years ago. So hopefully he does. Well, hopefully he does reach out.
Yeah, right. Agreed.
And we could just have him on. But within the next week or so, I will have episode 4, which is the famous episode where Jerry Lynn joined us to talk with Pee-wee to see exactly what happened that faithful night in Chicago or Berwyn or wherever.
Put a virtual finger in his chest as he talked sternly to Mr. Pee-wee.
I'm not sure it was virtual.
We do want to thank everybody who's joined us, specifically last week in the mass transit episode. Everybody in the chat room who was adding to the story or asking questions or whatever. It was so awesome. We want you guys to participate in the chat. We want to participate with you. So if you're in the chat, ask us any questions you have, whether it's about the show that's currently happening or not. We will probably just cut in and read your questions because why not? That's what this podcast is. It's complete randomness. How random, you ask? Fellas? I want to talk about some VHS mixtapes. Hit the music, Pee-wee.
What? Okay. Ba-da-da-ba-da-da.
Yeah, that's the VHS music of the week. So I made a purchase this week. You guys know that I already had a wrestling VHS that I had gotten previously. Well, this week I got another one. We're looking at Mega Mix 7.
What
fellas.
is that?
Mega Mix
Oh, I see.
7.
That cover is
I see Sting.
It's Sting and RoboCop in that like Renaissance painting of the fingers touching. I'm sure it has an official name that I'm just too stupid to know. That is the best cover art I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's the dude with two dudes with tiny weens and they're touching fingers, and I'm
That's
sure
fantastic.
it's something famous that all of us should know. We have.
I think that's the Sistine Chapel. I think
Okay,
that's
yeah, that sounds
what
right.
that is depicting.
All right, we'll go with that. On this collector's item, which that's exactly what this beautiful mix is. Let me go through what's on the back here. We have El Torito versus Max Mini from 1997. We have George the Animal Steel touring the WWF Ice Cream Bar Factory from 1987.
Oh, I ate so many of those ice creams when I was a kid.
Hell yeah.
Those they're like oh man, they were like shit. I can't even describe them.
Cooking.
It was like a sandwich kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, on a stick.
Like an ice cream sandwich? What?
No, it had like Macho Man and
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
Hogan on 'em.
It had like printing on it, which I'm sure
Yeah,
wasn't
yes.
great for kids' nutrition back
No,
then.
no, absolutely not. That might explain a lot of this physique that you see.
Yeah, WWE has tried to bring
ahead of
those
you.
back a few times. Those were great. I remember I tried to collect the cards when I was a kid. The box that the bars came in. If you didn't just get them from the ice cream man, you could cut out the back and they had cards on them. Great stuff. Putski thinks Twix cookie. Were you thinking of the words Twix cookie?
I'm always thinking of the words Twix cookie.
We also have some Mr. JL on this thing.
Oh, there you go. That's Jerry Lynn.
That's Jerry Lynn from WCW 1995. Samoa Joe versus Jushin Thunder Liger from TNA 2005. WWF at the 2001 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I don't know where you find that kind of stuff, but
The 2001 Macy's.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I wonder if that's noteworthy for any reason.
Yeah, who knows? I will watch this, and I will definitely talk about this again for 25 minutes on the next episode.
So it's just a guy that like cut up a bunch of his like favorite wrestling highlights and put them on a tape.
Yeah, this one in particular is all wrestling, except for the last thing on here is like Chad Muska skateboarding clips for some reason.
Okay.
The other one that I have was excellent. It was completely random commercials, like old Taco Bell commercials, old MTV Music Video Awards live performances, wrestling, just all kinds of like random stuff in it. And anyway, the reason why I bought this is because the guy, it goes to charity. So it's $20. It's shipped to my house, and he gives all the money to charity. It's to a women's center, I want to say, Casa de las Madres in San Francisco. And so anytime these guys put these things out, I don't know, they're cool enough for me to want to buy them right now. And
Just the cover alone is worth your $20.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, come on.
It's fantastic.
If you're
cover work.
interested,
Absolutely.
follow @_PowerDad5000 on Instagram. He is one of the awesome dudes.
Wow.
Yeah, great name as well, right? He makes some awesome stuff, and the other guy is at Be Kind Rewind 515, which is I mean they do great stuff. This guy also he made a zine, and it's called Alive in 1995, which I love because that's where I've been living. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the past 3 years or so, I'm like all about the 90s. This came with a Garbage Pail Kids card and a Washington Bullets Tom Gugliotta card inside of it. But it's good stuff. It's he has like other stuff from 1995 in there. It's pop culture related. I don't think I would have bought it if it doesn't go towards charity.
Sure.
Maybe. I might be lying. Maybe I'm just saying that.
Did you know what you were getting when you gave him the $20? Did you
Yeah.
like you saw the cover art, you knew it was on the tape?
I don't know if I saw the cover art. I I did know it was his next mix.
Okay, interesting. I'm just
Yeah.
If people knew that was the cover art, I bet he would have sold a couple more copies.
I mean, I could be wrong. I just don't remember the cover art. Like, you guys popped more for the cover art than I did. But, yeah, whatever. It's good stuff. Pee-wee, I wanted to ask you a question because I heard that the WWE might be kicking off SummerSlam as their return to touring, live touring.
I saw this.
So, can you finally go to that DeKalb house show, or did you get your money back for that?
Oh, it was a Rockford house show.
Oh, even worse.
They did. It was officially canceled. Months ago. It was officially done. So, like I've said in the past, I want to take him to a live WWE show. He's been now to Oshkosh, the capital of wrestling, as people know it. He's seen Hornswoggle and Emma and Matt Cardona and all the greats wrestle in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Now I want to take him to a slightly bigger show and show him how a real wrestling show is. I definitely want to take him to a WWE show, but I want to take him to a house show. I've said that before. I don't want to take him to Raw and have him watch 7 minutes of wrestling and then have to watch a promo on the Titantron and then go to commercial for 5 minutes and then come back to another promo and then another 3 minutes of wrestling and then...
Makes sense.
Yeah, we should take him to a GCW show.
Is that the one where they jumped off the ceiling that we saw at like midnight?
Yeah.
Buckets of blood, I think you described it as, yes.
Yeah, light bulbs. Remember the guy like severed his arm or something?
That's right. They had to call the ambulance mid-match.
Yeah, he came back recently, like within the past 6 months or so.
Injury?
So he's good to go. And
I'll
we'll
take
get some
I can get.
little goggles so that he doesn't get any light bulb
I like the
in
little
his
goggles.
eye.
That's smart.
Yeah, I'm always thinking about Connor's safety.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this seems like a trap.
No.
That's my concern, is that I want to take him to a house show. I think that's where he's best suited, and I haven't heard any talk about house shows resuming. I've heard that the live shows are going to be resuming, as in Raw and the pay-per-views and SmackDowns are going to start touring again, or at least the bigger shows. Everything I've heard says that they're done with house shows for life.
I mean,
have you heard that?
No. I mean, I don't really pay too much attention to it. I mean, you've heard like the chatter, I guess, over the past like year or so, because like AEW was like, we're not doing house shows. It doesn't make sense. And I don't think it does make sense. Like, everything is about TV now anyway. So it's kind of pointless to do house shows. I don't know. House shows are still fun. It's like when people get to not have to worry about being on television. So it's
I don't think that. Yeah. Yes. Back in the day, you had a TV show to promote your product to get people to come to the live shows. Now it's almost the opposite, where you have the live shows to get people. There's more money on Peacock. There's more money with USA. There's more money on pay-per-view. So it's almost like you're doing the opposite now. But the people who are really not benefiting by the lack of shows, other than my son, are the wrestlers. You need to get those reps in. You need to be working as much as you can. Especially guys who don't have a lot of wrestling experience. They're just like, you have a good look. Let me throw you in NXT. Let's move you up to the main roster. Like a guy's like I think this is Lars Sullivan's story, right? Like this was a guy who just had a monster look. They pushed him real hard, but he didn't have a ton of experience. Imagine him without house shows, not getting those reps in there.
He had a lot of experience in adult movies with other men, I believe.
Sure, but I'm talking about the experience within the wrestling ring. I definitely think all the talent needs as much. There's not as much training, especially for the new guys, as there should be. And to get them TV ready, they need as much practice as possible. If
and oddly enough, WWE guys are like probably the most trained out of like them and AEW and whatever. You know what I mean? Like through NXT. The guys who come up through NXT, who they have to go through this rigorous training, not live, not live shows in front of people, but at least they're going through the reps every day. But you know what? It does make sense. Like they're cutting everybody's pay. Meanwhile, they're making these billion-dollar deals, and everybody's like, "What's going on?" Well, if there's going to be less money in house shows or less dates that people have to work, I could imagine there's going to be less money for wrestlers too.
Yeah, so I'm hoping for everybody's sake that house shows do come back, but I don't know if that's the case. I haven't read anything that says so, and I'm terrified if that's the case.
Man, what a lifestyle change though. I mean, with every like old wrestler, they always talk about the grueling schedule for all the house shows.
Yeah.
And like if you take that away, like the quality of life for just being
Oh,
a
just
wrestler.
look at the last year as being
my
a
God,
WWE
I mean-
wrestler. They're just living in Florida.
Yeah.
If you're in AEW, they record like once every 2 weeks. It's you're just living the life. You're just hanging out down there.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like they'd never wanted to come back, like ever.
Right. As long as you've already made it and you know what you're doing, absolutely.
Right.
Our friend Ivica chimes in. He says, in episode 1, Pee-wee made it very clear that his memory is terrible. How does that factor into his recollection of the controversy involving Jerry Lynn? I was kind of thinking the same thing when I was re-listening to these podcasts, and I was like, Pee-wee, you are very confident that it was Jerry Lynn, but that's like as far as your memory confidence goes. Like that's
Agreed.
Yeah.
But I also have like, I don't want to say memories because I don't want to rely on anything in my mind that could potentially be a memory. But I couldn't just make up Jerry Lynn poking me in the chest. I couldn't make up him getting in my face. You know what I mean? I have these vivid recollection. My memory is terrible on the majority of stuff, but the other way my mind works is the stuff that I do remember, I remember very vividly.
It's traumatic.
Are you sure it
Right,
wasn't a
that's-
guy named Larry Jynn and you just messed it up?
I do.
well, then-
I like that name.
Didn't Jerry say it was probably Kid Cash or something like that? Like he's like, I always get confused with Kid Cash.
Kid Cash is a jerk, apparently.
If I wasn't accurate on the place and the we narrowed it down to AAW, we narrowed it down to the year, and I even said that Jerry wasn't the main event. That this match with a name with Jerry Lynn wasn't the main event, and then we were able to log on to the AAW archives and get onto their network and find the exact match. That wasn't the main event. That was me, Matt. That was me, the referee, and that had Jerry Lynn in it. Yes, we didn't see any yelling at all in the match, but that I still don't think that means that he's in the clear.
The jury is still out, apparently.
Find out episode 4.
Absolutely, I'm definitely after seeing the match, I'm totally not on board with saying I was in the wrong. I don't think I was in the wrong. I don't think I'm making any of this up. I absolutely stand by everything that I said in episode 3.
So I've been going back and watching some old wrestling, and every time I watch old wrestling, I don't want to watch new wrestling anymore. And I find something else that I go, oh man, I really liked that about old wrestling. And it's not necessarily like a person. It could just be a random thing. One thing that you brought up last week on your bitter, Pee-wee, I thought was tremendous. The guardrails situation.
Oh yeah.
That kind of like slipped my mind because I'm now used to these black barriers that suck or whatever.
Sure.
And then seeing old... Okay, so this past week I started watching old WWF superstars from like 94, 95.
Hell yeah. Love it.
And they have guardrails, and they have, I mean, like extension cords all over the floor, and they have...
It's raw. Pun aside, it's a raw...
stuff
slice
being
of
spilled
wrestling.
everywhere, like...
It's not polished, right?
And the space in between the guardrail and the ring, like, you can reach over and touch the ring. And just the first, 5 minutes that I was watching this, I was like, that's what I love about wrestling. That is the best thing. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
And,
And the fan reaction, I talked about it last week too, but you can see not only fans' faces, but you can see their body language. You can see them through the bars in the front row. You know what they're doing with their hands. All of that stuff matters and makes a difference. And the WWE, and I actually can't even picture, does AEW have just regular guardrails?
Don't even know. No clue.
I don't know either. I want to say they do,
and I think they're black. So maybe it's like a sleeker looking guardrail.
Yeah, they're kind of like hockey boards, right? They're not real guardrails. They're like partitions. They're like
WWE's, WWE's is like just a piece of like plywood all the way across.
And now they have 20 feet in between the ring and the first row. It's like you could bring an elephant through there. And they wouldn't. They wouldn't do something that dangerous, which it's like, you have the room, bring in the elephant. But another thing I missed is Vince on a commentary. That is great stuff.
Oh, God. The pinnacle of WWE television.
And I don't know why he doesn't do commentary now. Like, all the people that they have, go through commentary, and it's just him yelling at people what to say. So he obviously knows what he wants to say. let people run the show and back. You know what I mean?
I think that's the problem. I think he wants to, and obviously I don't know this. This is just me guessing, but every story I've heard about Vince is that he wants to micromanage everything, and I would imagine, just doesn't want to give up that control back there to allow it just to be on the other side of the camera and commentate. Like I obviously don't know what he's thinking, but I would imagine he doesn't think that his commentating, I 100% think that this thinking is wrong if that's the way he is thinking. But if maybe he has the mindset like, my commentating wouldn't add anything to the product and it wouldn't make any difference, and I'm more beneficial behind the scenes. I honestly think they would get, at least 20% more viewers if just like raw Vince was commentating and just like giving true opinions on what was happening. I would love that.
The other thing, and I guess it's the last thing that I love about Superstars, was like jobber matches. Like Ludwig Borga, who they're pushing, is not the jobber. He's fighting like Don Kelly the Third or whatever. And it's so cool, and they do it well. And I remember watching that stuff as a kid, and it's like, nothing big is going to happen, but you still want to watch it for some reason. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. It was really well done. And
that's one thing that AEW is still doing right. They are still bringing in like random indie guys. They're making it seem like it's a big deal, and then some of them get squashed, and some of them have like a fighting chance. And you need those highs and lows. You can't just this is the problem with WWE. It's always just a constant mid-card guy versus mid-card guy, mid-card guy versus mid-card guy. You don't have here's a big guy against the little guy. Like, when I say big versus little, I don't mean size. I mean like notoriety, popularity, whatever it is. It's Roman Reigns versus a local guy. He's just going to get crushed, and we need that because you need to be able to have that time to tune out and realize that Roman's going to crush him, and then you're not expecting what's going to happen next.
Yeah, absolutely. We should probably like pick a show to watch together, like an old Superstars, and see like what we think about that show, like what sticks out to all of us.
Well, question for you: isn't all that stuff gone off the network?
That was going to be my question. How are you watching?
How are you watching? Yeah, how are you doing? VHS, I'm guessing.
They're slowly bringing stuff back to Peacock. This was like, what's new on Peacock? 1995.
1995.
They're starting with priorities. I like that.
Yeah, it was great. Just I went onto the app just to like check and see how things are going, and it was literally in the top row where it's like, hey, you should watch this. And I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And so now, like, every night of the week has been, like, I go to sleep watching Superstars, and it's a good way to go to sleep.
That's great. They are doing a good job of continually updating it. That was one of my concerns with all of this stuff and the transition to Peacock, is that they had all this talk, said they'd be good to go to by SummerSlam, and that everything would be updated. And everybody was doubting them because it was a lot of work. But, they are, like you said, they've uploaded Superstars. They've uploaded some old Tough Enoughs. They've uploaded like a bunch of random stuff that you would not think they would start with, but this is the route that they're going with, and it shows that they are motivated and determined to get this done.
Maybe that's just the stuff that wasn't offensive or racist, or
that's all they had
through.
Left.
Yeah, that's it. This is it. We got 94 Superstars and Tough Enough. That's it.
Ivica at Kim Jong-Omatic chimes in and he says Vince's lawyers would never allow him to commentate. That makes it better, though. That's another problem, though.
I don't think Vince would listen to lawyers.
Yeah, PG-rated stuff, doesn't...
This guy started a football league twice. He doesn't listen to anybody. He does whatever the fuck he wants at all times.
Imagine if Peacock had a separate subscription service where you paid like an extra $2 per month, and you would watch Raw or SmackDown or the pay-per-view, but the commentary that came through was the headset of the commentators, so all you got to hear was Vince yelling in the guy's ears, and it's just uncensored. The producer feed. I would pay $2 a month for that.
Yeah, I'd pay $9.95. I would pay $9.95.
Absolutely.
And spread my password to everybody, for sure.
Appreciate it.
There's no way to segue into this, but did you guys happen to catch the Brian Pillman Dark Side of the Ring?
It's on my watch list. I haven't gotten there yet.
Tony?
I have seen it. Yes, I watched it.
Woo! That was a rough one.
It's very a stark contrast from the WWE A&E biographies that they're doing. They do not get into the depth that the Dark Side of the Ring stuff does, and
It made the Macho Man one look like a 100%
Oh my-
positive puff piece.
yes, 100%.
I totally forgot that Pillman was in a car accident. Like that was like I knew he was dead.
So
Wouldn't have remembered the Humvee accident or whatever that basically ended up killing him.
yeah, I didn't know much about Pillman when I was watching during those years. The only thing I remember about him is that he showed up one day and he had a different face. Like his face was different.
That's
Like,
interesting. Like I don't. I mean, obviously I get it because they talk about the surgery.
Yeah.
And they had lifted his face up to like do surgery and
Yeah,
brought
like
it
that
back
Nicolas
down.
Cage movie, the Face Off movie.
That's so messed up. A lot of the story is like just sad. Like, okay, 5 kids with 3 different wives. Second wife, he cheats on her with the third wife. They ridicule the second wife till she kills herself.
Yeah.
Then he has his accident and that stuff. Then his wife, who was an attractive woman on Raw in 95. Then they show her now.
Oh my god.
Woo!
Yeah.
Don't do drugs, children, or don't do
Yeah,
that many drugs. Like
Whatever drug she's doing, don't do them.
that was rough.
Now, I love.
Yeah,
like I
it was
said,
a
I
tough
haven't
watch.
seen this. I've heard it's a tough watch. Is it? But it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean you like Brian Pillman. You're a Brian Pillman fan.
I love Brian Pillman. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, prepare to be sad, obviously. The one kind of like bright spot is Brian Pillman Jr. seems to have his shit together for someone who's, I mean, pretty messed up life.
Sure.
Not just with his dad, not just with
Any son of a wrestler is going to have a messed up life.
But then,
on top
like-
of that, he's the son of Brian Pillman.
But then
It's tenfold.
his mom remarries a dude who's just like an asshole to him.
Abusive.
Oh,
Yeah.
Super abusive. And this guy's got his look, a couple years ago he decided he wanted to be a wrestler and like, for his father and blah blah blah, and a lot of people obviously have questions about that because they don't want him getting into the business. A lot of people think the business killed Brian Pillman, whatever. This dude has his head on straight. He, at least from the outside looking in, you don't hear about Brian Pillman like you hear about Teddy Hart, or you hear about these other guys who are constantly in and out of jail. Brian Pillman is surrounded by people who are like keeping him out of the trouble. Even Chris Benoit's son, who like we don't know a lot about him, but he was like, I want to be a wrestler, to bring back the good name of Benoit. You know what I mean? Like, but
Sure.
you see him versus you see Brian Pillman. Brian Pillman's put in that work. Now, I that's not saying Benoit's kid hasn't. But when you look at the two of them and you see where each one
One
is,
of those two has a much larger mountain to climb in terms of regaining the notoriety
name.
and the good name of his last name.
but both of them come from pretty messed up situations.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And next week's episode, speaking of GCW, I believe is the Nick Gage episode, which is going to be
Wow.
insane. Tony, I know you don't know a lot about Nick Gage. I
saw the preview, and it doesn't look like something I'm going to enjoy, like, at all.
You got to watch it for knowing who Nick Gage is, like, just to see who this person is. But I would not be surprised if you cut it off, like, halfway through.
So that's the thing I've realized is, like, I like watching wrestling documentaries more than I like watching current day wrestling. Which
We
Oh,
should
sure.
watch old superstars and wrestling documentaries and talk about
I'm
it.
in. I'm in. Let's start a side podcast. We just talk about those two things.
Well, we don't have content, so like we will just make that this podcast from now on. We have stickers coming. I don't want to get another podcast going. And then this leads us to the brightness in the sun and puffy clouds. A&E. Did you watch the A&E?
What a great contrast this one was.
So Tony, you watched the Booker T one, judging by the backdrop that you have. Pee-wee, did you see this one?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, I didn't
was
see it
gonna ask
either.
how you guys watch these things, because my DVR does not record. Each one of them has an individual name, and it's not a series, so I cannot record the entire series. I have to hunt them down every week and type in the words Booker T or Stone Cold Steve Austin, and it's too much work for me to do, and I just never get around to it.
I didn't watch this one because it did not record.
There you go. Right.
I have only hit record once at the beginning of all this stuff, and it recorded the rest of them, but it didn't record this one. So I have it set to record for like Saturday. So producer Tony, the floor is yours. Tell us about Booker T.
Well, I absolutely knew nothing about Booker T, so this was great for me. I like learning stuff about these guys. You know, we've been watching them for decades, and it's nice to know a little background on him. And his story was pretty sad in the beginning. Just about his mother dying when they were early age. There was like 4 or 5 kids or something like that. So he was like technically an orphan, because I think the dad also died when he was young. So
here's a stupid question: are him and Stevie Ray legitimately brothers?
They are.
Okay.
And that was one of the questions I had going into this, because you can't believe anything in wrestling, right?
Oh, right, absolutely.
Stevie Ray and Booker T, are they really brothers? They are, actually. And they talk about how I think Stevie Ray was going to wrestle somewhere, and he just happened to bring his brother with him. And the guy working was like, "Who's this guy?" He's like, "I want him too." So like that's how they got
You're a big guy, get in the ring.
Set up. And Booker T actually, this was a great little tidbit. He was arrested he used to work at Wendy's, and they used to rob the Wendy's, like the one that they worked at, all the time.
All the time.
They got away with it so many times, they started robbing other Wendy's. So eventually they got caught, and Booker T actually went to prison as a very young man.
Jeez.
Okay.
So I didn't know that.
So what was, I'm asking you this question already knowing the answer. What was your favorite part of this podcast, of this A&E biography?
Well, like always, like every week, they have great interviewees. They had Vince was on there a lot, and they were actually talking about one time. They were talking about the spin-a-rooney, you know, how he does the breakdancing move to get up and all that kind of stuff. And they were reliving a story about after Raw went off the air, they kept recording for some reason, and I guess the guys used to just entertain after the cameras are turned off.
For the live audience, right?
Yeah, for the people in the house.
Yeah,
right?
because they're already off of USA. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, and Booker T tried to get as many people as he could to do the spin-a-rooney. And, like, he had Goldust, I think Triple H, like The Rock, like all the main guys. And it was... The Undertaker was in his American Badass gimmick years. And they were talking
I've seen
like...
this. Are they pulling out, like, it's the end of the show, Booker T closes the show, they go off the air, and then he's like, he gets on the mic or something, and like, he calls down one by one, calls down Triple H, he gets in the ring, he does a spin-a-rooney. Then he gets back on the microphone, Goldust, you get down here, he does a spin-a-rooney. And they go through the entire roster until they get to the Undertaker.
He's calling all the main guys. He's calling all the heavy hitters.
That's awesome.
So Undertaker's in the ring. The entire crowd is like chanting "Taker Rooney, Taker Rooney," and and Undertaker didn't have any of it. He did not do the Taker
he didn't
Rooney.
do it. Oh, I don't like that.
But then Vince McMahon's theme music plays.
Oh yeah.
He walks down to the ring, and Vince does a spin-a-rooney. And that's the picture right there. If you're watching on YouTube, you could see it. He drops down to a knee, does the hand thing, and then he does like this weird like somersault kind of thing. It was not a spin-a-rooney, but it was a Vince-a-rooney, okay? And it was again, it was the best part of the whole episode for me, because I love when Vince McMahon does crazy shit.
Especially mid-90s Vince.
It doesn't get any better.
I wonder if he did this on other shows, or if this was like a one-time thing. Like, did they know that he was going to do it, or did he finally one day just come out and actually do it?
Yeah, how like worked are those? Because there's a whole DVD on, it's called like Raw After Dark or Raw something. It's referring to the after the cameras go off, they would always do this after the shows to send the people home happy, especially if like the heel ends up going over on top at the end of Raw. They send the viewers at home. They don't have a great taste in their mouth because the heel just went, but they're at home. You don't want a crowd to leave the building having a bad taste in their mouth, so you would have to have like an extra segment where the good guy has to go over. That's where the post show dark matches would come in, and the babies would always go over. Eventually, they started doing stuff like this, and there's a whole DVD with segments like this. And it's something I've always wanted to track it down. It was never on the network, and I've just never gone to eBay and pulled the trigger on it. But I mean, just looking at this GIF of Vince rolling around the ring, as soon as we log off here, I will definitely be.
It's fantastic. There's actually a YouTube of this. Just Google Vince McMahon
of the whole
Spinner
segment,
Rooney.
right?
Yeah, the whole thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
And Sasha, like the look on Undertaker's face when he was trying to convince him. I can just imagine what he was thinking in his inner monologue. Sasha, can you give us a little taste?
I can, but since we're running out of time, I'll just say that HBK, his biography is next week. So Pee-wee, you better get to that DVR. You know what I mean?
I'm on it.
Also on A&E was the, what's it called? The Most Wanted Treasures show.
Ah, that's right.
Pee-wee, I'm guessing you didn't watch this?
No, who was it this week?
Booker T.
Oh, it was Booker T again. Oh, it's not like that every week, though, right?
I don't think so.
I was going to say,
Tony,
I've
did you happen
I've
to
seen
catch
a
this?
Lawler Hidden Treasures in it. I don't think they did a Lawler documentary.
No.
No, similar to Pee-wee, I always forget to record that show. I'm just more interested in the biographies, so I never make it that far.
I am enjoying this show, as cheesy as it is, because you can tell it's set up. Like, I don't need the negotiation part of it, but seeing the memorabilia is cool.
That's the cool part, right?
Yeah, like they had this black robe, which I guess Booker only wore one time. This one guy who I believe was on the Mick Foley episode.
Just the same guy wearing a mustache.
It's the same guy, and they're like, he has a lot of stuff, so they just keep
and that's
going
fine.
to his house.
That makes sense. If he has one rare thing, he probably has a bunch of rare things.
And so he had that black robe, and they tried getting it from him. It ended up working. And then there was an interesting part because they were talking about the debut of Booker T in the WWE. So he came in at some pay-per-view, maybe it was SummerSlam or something, whatever it was.
Okay.
And he attacked Stone Cold. And so
yeah, they talked about this.
That was like the big thing, was like WCW coming in, invading. First time you see a Booker T, and he lifts up Austin to throw him onto the table. Austin like hits the table, slides off, and lands on a chair leg, breaks 3 bones in his back. And so now Booker T, in his opening like debut on the WWE product, people are like, did he come in and do this on purpose? Was he like trying to hurt Austin?
WCW for life.
Yeah.
And
there is no company he could be working for. WCW doesn't exist.
They actually interviewed Austin when they talk about this part, about how like he's coming in, like he caught some heat from the guys because he just took out the top guy.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, it's fucked up.
Absolutely.
It was good stuff. But the most interesting thing, there were 2 more items that Booker T was looking for. The one that I was really interested in was the WCW TV title that he held.
Oh, hell yeah.
They showed him beating Disco Inferno, and like the crowd went insane. Like so happy to see Disco lose and Booker T win. And the cool thing about this was they went to it has to be like the top guy who collects belts or whatever. He had a room that was just top to bottom actual belts, no replicas. They asked him like, are any of these replicas? And he's like,
crazy.
no, everything here has been used. He had Hulk Hogan's first belt. He had everything. And they asked him about this belt, and he goes, I've been collecting for a long time. We have a small group of people who actually collect belts, and no one has even heard, no one's had a lead on where this belt is. Nobody has a clue where the WCW title belt is. The only thing that people know is 20 years ago, Hacksaw Jim Duggan had it and sold it to somebody. And nobody knows to whom. Nobody knows where that guy is. And that was it. They were like, okay, I guess we won't get that belt. And then they moved on to the next item. I thought that was really interesting. And the next item was something not even Booker T related. He wanted Junkyard Dog's chain, like the collar around his neck.
Yeah.
And so they ended up finding that. And do you want to know where they found the JYD collar? Plainfield, Illinois.
Really?
A guy named Vito Tomaselli.
I know Vito Tomaselli.
Well, there
That's
you go.
hilarious.
That's him.
No, he's a worker out here. That's great.
I wanted to bring that up because I thought maybe there was a chance that you knew him, because I know, with the Major Wrestling figure pod and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He asked $20K for it, and they were like, "How about 4?" And then they eventually settled on like 7,500 or something like that.
Okay.
But I thought it was insane. They showed the guy. They showed some of his work. He was like, "Yeah, I used to be a worker." They showed his pictures, Vito Tomaselli.
That's good for him.
And then
your
he's
stuff
like,
in.
he's like, "I'm older now. I have a little bit of money, so I can buy things that I shouldn't be buying or whatever."
Attaboy.
But I really like the fact that they went over something that wasn't even Booker T related or whatever. I mean, he was like, "I love JYD," but
I was hoping that you were going to say that he was looking for his original Harlem Heat outfit, because there's a cool story. One last thing. When they were coming up with the tag team Harlem Heat, you remember those old outfits they used to wear, like the flames?
Yeah, it had like the circle in the middle that connected the whole thing.
Yes. Yeah. That shirt is a country music Brooks and Dunn shirt.
Hell yeah.
Stevie Ray and Booker T went and bought like 3 of those shirts, cut them up, had them tailored. Even the hats that they used to wear, like the do-rags.
Yeah.
It's like a cut up one of those shirts.
Oh, hell yeah.
Amazing.
That
could have been you didn't know, but it's in the documentary, so like everybody knows it now.
Pee-wee, I don't know if you want to tease something here. I believe that you made a big purchase.
Yeah, you
this
brought
week.
up. Wait,
Pee-wee. I believe you made a big purchase this week. There we go. Your turn.
Thank you. This is you brought up the A&E show. That's something that we talked about a few weeks ago, maybe months ago at this point, where I was talking about the Macho Man hat that was outside of that thrift store, and I was in contact with them.
Ridiculous picture, by the way.
I love this picture because it's got the local Macho Man hat on the left. It poised outside of a thrift store, and then on the right, it's Macho Man in the foreground. And like, I don't know if this is it looks like it's at Nitro. And he's like, "Behold behind me, the Macho Man a monster truck with its giant yellow cowboy hat on top." I went into detail on a previous episode where we were trying to get a hold of this thing, and we're just trying our best to do so. And it wasn't happening. I can't go into much detail now. And it literally, my connection with A&E has stopped. It's no longer on the table. However, yesterday
he did it.
We bought the thing. This is
what?
So on the YouTube, you can see we put it into it. We loaded it into a truck, and then this is me with it in my garage. This was an ordeal. Yeah, this has been something that's been in the works forever. I am now the proud owner of a giant 10-foot by 8-foot by about 6 feet yellow cowboy hat Macho Man monster truck.
I can't believe this.
Unbelievable. More unbelievable is that Steph agreed to it. And I will have more information on this down the line. At this point, I can't talk about it much. I can't even talk numbers as far as what I paid for it. But we will have more information on it. I just want to let you guys know that we got her.
We
got her.
How heavy is that thing?
I lifted it with one other guy, and we had to walk with it elevated up a ramp of the truck. And tilt it, and we had to tilt it to get it in there. It was terrifying.
My God.
After the amount of money that I dropped, I was terrified we were going to drop it off of the ramp and have the thing just crack into pieces.
I was so sad that you texted me to see if the availability of my truck, and I was like, no. I wanted to go pick that up so bad. Just to document it, like the video of that would have been fantastic.
If I had more hands, I definitely would have recorded it myself. It was just my hands were tied with this giant thing. I was just glad to get the thing done and move on to the next step with it.
We got her. So A&E Blood and Guts was last week, and we didn't get a chance to talk about it because obviously it was after we had recorded. But there's only one thing to really talk about on this show. It was the Jericho bump, and it sucked. Is that a teaser?
I'm playing it now on the YouTube page. This I didn't watch the show, but this is rough to watch. This, for anybody that didn't see, it was MJF versus Chris Jericho. I believe it was like 4-on-4 in the cage, right?
Yeah, it was the Blood and Guts match is what they're calling it. So it's War Games with the roof on the cage, but they can't call it War Games, so they call it Blood and Guts. They even mentioned that Dusty Rhodes invented the match.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the thing that was weird was like, so the two of these guys go to the top, and this feud is all about them two, right? Like, here's the problem. Chris Jericho's been a heel for 2 years. Like, the past couple weeks, he's turned face.
Right.
And
How
so
much can I care about this guy? Right.
Yeah, that's one. Another thing is these guys are having a blood and guts match. Let's end the gang war that we have going, the 4-on-4, whatever. Everybody's beating each other up. They get to the top of the cage. MJF goes, "You guys give up or I'll throw him off the cage." And they're like, "We give up." That's all it took. That is how you're...
Oh, my God.
It's like supposed to be blood and guts. You're supposed to go like until you die, like theoretically. Right. And they're like, no, don't do it. And then you could tell it was being set up for so long. Jericho was like moving into the correct spot. He was talking, like you could visibly see him talking to MJF.
I hate that. Okay.
And it took forever. And then MJF was like, "Well, even though you guys gave up, I'm still going to do it." And then he pushed him. And then that happened. And then he landed in the pit. The cardboard boxes and mattress that we used to wrestle on.
I saw Bellwood Bishop do this spot in 1996 with boxes they stole from Frank's nursery.
That's my whole problem with this thing is, yes, it looks terrible. They used cardboard that has like what I think is like a foam adhesive over it
like
that
board?
That makes it look like steel, like the steel flooring. If they would have just kept the camera from right here when MJF pushes him off, keep the camera on MJF, and after Jericho's landed, you don't need to get the impact because there's no impact. Keep the camera on MJF, and then after he's landed, even if it looks terrible and that he's in a pad, it would have looked better if you're on MJF and then just pan over to a Jericho that's already fallen and down. The way that they did it, where you follow him down into this giant crash pad, makes it look terrible.
Yeah. And you know what? Like,
they didn't even paint or color the bottom of the cardboard.
The boxes, I know.
The Rikishi spot that when he took a bump off the top of the Hell in a Cell is another thing that to me was like crappy. Like everybody knew it was coming because there was a truck outside that had hay in it.
Sure.
But the way that they shot it at least wasn't like...
It looked okay. I actually, I pulled that clip up earlier, and I was planning on playing it now because I remembered it being terrible. I pulled it up after watching this thing loop for 4 times, this Jericho bump. I was fine with the Rikishi bump. The Rikishi thing looks 10 times better than this thing.
Yeah, the way that they shot it makes it look okay, even though we knew it was coming, even though it still wasn't the greatest thing. They like the way that they made that look was so much better than this. This was so horrible. And so I wanted to ask you guys, what are some of the like worst looking spots or stunts or I don't know, just shit show that you guys remember?
Okay.
And so I have a couple of them. Do you want me to go first? How do you want us to do this, Pee-wee?
I think I got a good one. I think this is one that not a lot of people talk about, but I think everybody remembers.
Okay.
John Cena. Friend of the show, John Cena.
Easy.
I don't talk a lot of shit about John Cena. But this man, for a very brief period in his career near the end, added a new move to his repertoire. Do you remember when he used to do the stunner off the ropes?
No, I don't.
He would hit the ropes, bounce off, and then jump backwards into a stunner on the guy, and he never hit it smoothly.
Yeah.
This one that I'm showing right now, where it's him against Cesaro, is the smoothest one I could find.
I thought you were going to say the 5-knuckle shuffle thing, because that is the worst move.
Sure, yeah, I mean, that's up there with the Rock's elbow, stuff that is super soft, but is still a finish. Like that, I still buy, because it still has the power of being a finish. I'm totally fine with that.
Okay.
I don't know, that stunner looks like a textbook, well-oiled maneuver. I don't know what you're talking about.
So who's next, Pee-wee? You got to tell me the order here. What?
It doesn't matter. I've got a bunch of them.
Oh, okay.
But Tony has, I believe, one, and then you have a couple.
One's
Okay.
all I got.
What do you got, Tony?
All right. So what is the category? Worst spot?
Sure.
Anytime that we're going to talk about the worst anything, I'm always going to bring up Roman Reigns and the stupid ass arm cock bullshit.
Name.
Whatever this is.
Cock.
What is that? What is this garbage? What is this? What is that?
You know,
and he punches the ground.
I don't consider this a spot, but I do consider this god awful, and so I will definitely allow this. Oh man,
Is there a name for this stupid bullshit? What is this actually called?
masturbation? I don't know. Like,
We're playing, if you're listening at home, we're playing a looping gif of Roman just continually cocking his arm and cocking his arm and cocking his arm. No, I don't think it has a name. It's just him setting up for that Superman punch.
Doesn't deserve a name. Doesn't deserve TV time. Doesn't deserve anything.
See, a lot of my other ones were like one-offs and stuff that only happened like one time. Like I have Aleister Black missing this kick. And then any time, and this is awesome to watch if you're watching on YouTube. But if you're watching audibly, it's Aleister Black going for a spinning kick on Lars Sullivan, totally whiffing, but Lars selling it anyways and just laying down literally a second and a half after Aleister's already landed the kick.
You know what the best part is? He still leg slaps. He
Of
still
course,
leg
Of
slaps.
course he does.
And he misses him by like 4 inches.
So I brought up this one as like I think it looks horrible when somebody misses a move and then his opponent sells it anyways. I've got another one here. This is Jeff Hardy hitting the Whisper in the or not hitting Whisper in the Wind.
who is that too? Is that Jinder Mahal?
That's Jinder Mahal. Yeah.
Oh, he came back this week.
With a stable, right?
Yeah,
I saw that.
Yeah.
Other one. Here's one last one in this category. I've got the Big Show being RKO'd by Randy Orton, but Orton for some reason doesn't fall, but Big Show does.
Wow.
Check out our YouTube if you want to. I'll actually tweet these out as well, but if you want to see it in live, you can definitely check out the YouTube.
I got a couple. The first one, it's very, very recent, but it is the explosion from the AEW Exploding Death Match. Apparently, they just don't know how to film anything or how to do anything over there.
Oh, I don't think you didn't send me that one. I don't have a clip of that. So if you're waiting for it,
okay.
I don't have it. Okay.
That's okay. We don't need to see that.
That's a good call, though.
If you're interested, check out any Gilbert Pyro from 97 to 2002 or whatever. The other one I have is, we've talked about this on the show before. It's from Halloween Havoc 91. This is Abdullah the Butcher being electrocuted.
oh
This is
yes,
classic, yeah.
Yep.
There's so much bad going on in this clip. First of all, you got this Cactus Jack, he's partners with Abdullah the Butcher, right? So,
Is that how you won? You have to electrocute your partner?
no, so Rick Steiner is first sitting in the chair.
Right.
And Cactus Jack is like, I'm going to get him. And instead of, his hand is on the switch, and then he waits for like at least a minute. In this time, Rick Steiner gets up and gives the worst belly-to-belly suplex ever to Abdullah the Butcher, who just basically sits down in the chair. Like, they just like switch spots. And then he ties him up in the whole thing or whatever. That's when Cactus Jack decides to actually pull the switch. 1 minute after his hand was on the switch.
This is a great call, yeah. This is just
Then you get that pyro.
This
pyro,
is bad timing in addition with bad special effects, with bad selling. It's a trifecta of horribleness.
And the worst part, the winning team had Elegante on it. Like, you can't have that. Elegante can't be the winner.
Well, the other guy's dead. He wins by default.
And that's another thing. Afterwards, he's just sitting there. And
Just sat there for the rest of the show.
Tony Schiavone said something here. I think I wrote it down. Let me see if I could find it here. It was very... Oh, he said, he's getting cooked. And I think he's well done, guys. He got that from the Sasha School of Comedy, clearly.
That's good stuff.
And then my last one is...
Oh,
Well-
before you do this, let me show you this one.
Okay.
This is one of my favorite clips. This is Mark Henry. Mark Henry on the outside shoving Batista away. Batista taking 3 steps backwards and then just doing like a backwards dive onto his back. It's the
That
most
looks like a
delayed
video
bump.
game glitch. Like the last WWE 2K game that came out, that's what happens.
That's a very famous clip. All right,
I
what's
ha-
your last one?
I have, I guess there was 2 that I wanted to talk about, but one of them was just like, they're both Big Boss Man related. The Kennel from Hell match. I don't know if you remember the Kennel from Hell.
Yeah, of course.
Where the dogs were, like, there were 2 cages. You had to get out of one cage, which was the old blue classic WWE cage, WWF steel cage. And then there were dogs in the middle of that cage and the Hell in the Cell.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah.
Except all the dogs were being held back by handlers. Like, they weren't going to attack because...
So the idea is you throw your opponent out to the dogs, and then the dogs would attack because they're trapped within this area and that they're vicious dogs. And then, yeah, you're exactly right. They were being handled by... They had handlers, and they weren't interested in anything except the food that the handlers had.
Yeah, and the dogs were shitting all over each other, and I believe Al Snow said fornicating as well. And so it was just, like, dumb and embarrassing. But the other dumb and embarrassing one, I think this counts more because it's more of a stunt that looks horrible, just like the Jericho thing.
Sure. That's
Undertaker versus Big Boss Man. Undertaker ties a noose around Big Boss Man's neck and then raises the cage, and they hang the Big Boss Man. Tony, have you ever seen this?
No,
Yeah.
I definitely have not. That's
not
awful.
only is this bad taste, it's like... Obviously, you're not
It's
going to
bad.
kill somebody on TV. Like, the only way this
Yeah.
makes sense is if it's fake. And the way that they do it fakely is obvious if you're just watching the thing.
And if you look at the back of the noose, it's not like around his neck really, because he's wearing a harness, like it's attached to a harness. So it looks awful. And what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to cheer this? Like,
Right.
What's the crowd supposed to do in this situation? They did what they need to do, which was quiet, like absolute quiet, and hope that there's not a kennel match coming up next. Like,
As he's going up, what the cage sways back and forth right here, that is
man.
terrifying.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right,
You have any more, Pee-wee?
I had one last one that I'm shocked neither one of you brought up.
Okay.
This last clip is the epitome of what this podcast is and what we stand for and what we stand against. I'm going to show you a clip starring Steve Blackman against Shane McMahon.
See, I don't think it's bad for this reason.
Please, explain what it is first.
So Shane McMahon on the whatever you call it, scaffolding. Steve Blackman hits him with the weakest shot of all time.
There's a little love tap.
Shane McMahon, apparently he hit him right in between the C3 and C4 vertebra. Paralyzed him immediately. But the falling is impressive.
The falling's insane. Yes, I agree.
And
the stunt
you
itself,
don't see the crash pad that he falls into, which is what
Yeah.
you need to do in this situation.
This is what you were talking about with the Jericho spot.
Yeah.
This is would have been much
It would
better.
have been much better, but the lead up to it, other than the waiting for the time for them to set up the crash pads, minus that, the setup for this Steve Blackman and the Shane McMahon one is terrible. Look at this.
Yeah, they
setup.
just, like,
it's
climb
Blackman
up for no
basically
reason.
hitting him
Yeah.
with a kendo stick with his his dominant hand, and Shane pushing off and taking the back bump from like literally 40 feet up. That's like, I get you have to be predetermined. You have to be safe at that point. You have to make sure you're taking things slow and you can't take any risks up there. But if it's going to look like this, my argument would be don't do it.
Putski just chimes in, by the way, and he says Sid's big boot from the top rope.
I don't think I
course.
have
Oh,
permission
God.
to play that clip ever on the show.
No,
I can't watch
that's on the
that. I'm
banned
sorry.
list with one professional wrestler and that move. But I'll tell you what, I learned something about that. It was actually Sid from the second rope.
Yeah.
And listening to the second episode of today's Jeff Jarrett podcast, which is a fantastic podcast, I found out about that Sid big boot. That was Johnny Ace's call. So Jim Laurinaitis,
move?
who's now with the WWE, he told Sid to do this.
Oh, wow.
Sid did not want to do it. He was not comfortable doing the move because he had to get to softball practice the next day. And
Don't know whether you're
that's-
joking or not.
yeah, that was a joke, but clearly we don't know.
It could have been real. That's why we didn't laugh, right?
But Sid said that he felt like he would have lost his spot or his job if he didn't do that. And so, according to Jeff Jarrett believes there was also litigation from this because of the injury, and Sid did not want to do it, so he ended up suing, I don't know, WCW or Jim Laurinaitis or whatever.
Oh, interesting.
But I just thought that was interesting. I've never heard anything about litigation with that, so.
No, never.
And now, let's end the show with a couple emails. One of them is from our dear friend Putski.
Hey.
And he says, "Good day, gentlemen. Wrestlers Yokozuna and Rikishi are related, but did you know their in-ring names are related as well? When it comes to sumo wrestling, a Rikishi is a general term for a professional sumo wrestler, and Yokozuna is a top-tier sumo wrestler. This is also shown in their gear. Yoko's sumo-style gear is quite obvious, and Rikishi's is more understated, but still inspired by sumo. I found this interesting, and you guys need content, so there you go.
Appreciate it.
Please keep up making the live shows."
Obviously, I knew that about Yokozuna. I knew that the name Yokozuna, or the term Yokozuna, is from sumo. It's I believe it's just a class. I did not know that about Rikishi, but now that you say it, obviously, yeah, his gear is absolutely inspired by the sumo wrestling side of things.
Yeah, I also impromptu email, "Oh, you didn't know," brought to you by Putski. I thought Yokozuna was Japanese until like a year ago, legitimately. So I am an idiot. But the other email that we have, we got a message from our dear friend Dawkin Kruger in Seattle, and he goes, "Guys, I just finished listening to the podcast." This was last week's mass transit incident. He says, "I don't have much to add besides the fact that I was the one in the shower, not Casey James."
Wow. Plot twist.
Or potentially with Casey James. I can't really read it. He says, "Music Man knocked on the bathroom door, which was locked because..." I don't want to swear, so he says, "FUCs." And he said he would be out in 5 minutes, and by the time he got out, Music Man was gone by then. Dawkin Kruger also sent an email that says, "Peacock added 9 million subscribers in the first 3 months of 2021 to get up to 42 million Netflix subscribers. The last 2 quarters with the WWE..." Wait, what is this? I don't know that this is true.
My mind just inverted itself when you were reading that. I was like, what?
Whatever it was, since the WWE got added or whatever, I believe there was something like 9 or 10 million new subscribers to Peacock.
Wow.
So Peacock got that many additional subscribers. It is an impressive number when you look at it. They have 42 million subscribers total. Which, by the way, Netflix has 203 million.
Whoa.
But the last 2 quarters before that, they also added 11 million and then 10 million. So they're like, it's not like because of the WWE they added this many. It's in
just
addition
on track
to it.
for how they're doing, yeah.
So I wanted to just ask you guys real quick before we leave. Do you guys have sign-up fatigue? Like, how many things are you signed up for? How much do you pay for? And like, versus having people's logins and all that kind of stuff.
Peacock specifically, I believe it's just free for me. It's included with Xfinity. So if I didn't have Xfinity, I don't know that I would have Peacock. And if I didn't have Peacock, I wouldn't have the network. So I don't know if I would actually sign up for it. But yeah, you're exactly right. I have too many things, and I've got access to the Plex Express. So it's like how many different subscriptions do I need? I got Tony in my back pocket.
Yeah, Tony, I'm very interested. You being the leader of the Plex Express here, I'm interested to hear your answer on this. So how much stuff do you have?
So,
how much crap do you have?
We cut the cord like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or whatever, and like I'm thinking, oh yeah, it's gonna be great. We're gonna like save all this money. But by the time you're adding up, like, okay, so I have to get a live TV provider. We use Hulu for that, and that's like $60 a month. So I'm not really saving much money there. We also subscribe to Netflix, and we also have Amazon Prime, and that's it. Like I will not add anything else beyond that. And you mentioned the Lex Express. That's all I need, baby.
And Pluto.
If you know what I'm saying.
And Pluto.
And Pluto TV,
The
yes.
hookup.
All right, well, that's it for this week. Next week on the show, we have a prediction update because WrestleMania Backlash is this weekend, whatever that means. So join us live on our YouTube channel, Tuesday nights, live at 9:05. Easy way to remember it. Huh? And in the next week or two, I think we should play another round of Dead or Alive. So we're going to bring in a guest. We'll do a live Dead
I
or Alive.
appreciate the 2-week notice on this.
Yeah, if we can't do it next week, we'll do it the week after that. But guys, I have a new prize. Do you want to know what the prize is, or should I wait?
Oh,
Keep them teasing, baby.
yeah.
Keep it teasing.
Hold off. I'm very interested. I'll probably text you after we go off the air, but that's intriguing.
Oh my God!
He just
Is
held
that
up.
what I think it is?
Do we? Should we leave it as that? If you're watching on YouTube,
You gotta watch the YouTube
you now
video.
There
you
it
now
is.
know what the prize is. Otherwise, you have to tune in next week to learn. That is awesome.
All right, what's making me bitter this week is AEW. They are turning into something. I'll tell you what. This week, and it might not be fair to even go after AEW for this, but I've noticed after the explosion botch, and then after something that happened this week, it seems like AEW is going after content and people who don't own pictures, like the gift that you were showing, Pee-wee, the Jericho thing. I'm pretty sure this podcast will not air.
Okay.
Tony Khan has reached out to us via email. But you guys are familiar with Botchamania. We've talked about it on this show. It's a clip show of the worst stuff in wrestling, which, by the way, you just have to watch wrestling to watch Botchamania. It's pretty bad in general. But Botchamania has a YouTube channel, and it's all this crappy stuff that goes on. And this past week, with the Jericho horrible bump, he decided to make another video. And his page, which has been up for, at least 10 years at this point, probably longer, got taken down. And he says that he didn't know why it got taken down. He was trying to talk to people at AEW. He believes there was like a copyright strike. He's got a couple of copyright strikes, and I believe they're from AEW. And then he came back and he said AEW was trying to help him out. But I don't know if that was after the fact that something had happened, or maybe they're just hiding something. Maybe TNT is going after it, right, instead of AEW, because TNT doesn't want their product being shown in a negative light. Whatever it is, AEW is doing some cheesy bullshit, basically. And especially with the exploding thing where they changed the ending, where we were supposed to believe that Eddie Kingston was faking it or what. Who cares? They're doing a bunch of bullshit that looks shitty. And I'm not anti-AEW, but man, I'm leaning a lot more towards watching 95 superstars from the WWF than I am AEW.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Producer Tony, what's making you bitter this week?
Traffic, actually. As you know, the COVID mania is still very prevalent, but the world is like slowly starting to come back, right? You got all these vaccinations, you got people going back to work, and I've been at work since last June. Like I've been going to the office every day, and like the lack of traffic has been amazing for me. Like I've never been late to work because of an accident in the past like year. But now people are starting to go back to work, and they're hogging up the highways. And it's taking me longer to get home, and I'm mad about it. And I'm looking around, and I see these goddamn construction workers and their stupid trucks, and they have stupid beards like Steve Blackman. And it just pisses me off that now I have to share the road with so many more people.
Pee-wee, what's making you bitter this week?
Other than your lack of research that you do on your bidders, the Botchamania thing was definitely cleared up. It was confirmed that it was a YouTube bot thing. It was not AEW's fault. Everybody apologized. And Botchamania's page is back up on YouTube. They're back.
I disagree.
I'm sure you
Because they didn't put the video up, the last video that they made. His page is up, but that last video still isn't up, and he still has problems. And he still says, like, one more strike and he's canceled for good.
All right. That's not
But
what
he does
I heard,
say
but okay.
that AEW helped him.
I'm not going to argue with you when we got 3 minutes to go.
I'm going to argue. I got it on my phone.
My phone don't lie. Normally in this segment, I complain about AEW. Normally, I usually try to focus on the referees. I'm not going to do that this week. I haven't watched NXT in months. Before we went live today, I caught one glimpse of NXT, and this is what it was. It's a tag match. Drop down, drop down, drop down, drop down. One guy bumps into his teammate. Teammate gets out. They're over here. Drop down. Ref drops down. Ref leapfrog. Drop kick. Ref drops down. Ref leap. This is the first thing I see from NXT in like 4 months. This is why I don't watch regular wrestling. I got nothing else. So check out the YouTube channel for more detail on what that was. But I don't know what NXT is doing. That isn't even indie stuff. You can't do that on television.
Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/bittermarks. New episodes drop every Friday morning at bittermarks.com or wherever you get your podcasts from. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at bittermarks and email us, bittermarks@gmail.com. Last but not least, buy our shirts, prowrestlingtees.com/bittermarkscom. That's COM, as in maybe you can watch Impact next week, Pee-wee. Pee-wee, producer Tony. See you next week.
Justin Tuttle, please expect a text from me about a t-shirt. It says 905 Live. I really like that saying. And thank you for everybody in the chat for hanging out. We had Putski, we had Evita, we had Primetime, we have Tony, we have Sasha. We got a bunch of guys in the chat today. Thank you guys for tuning in. See you next week.
Bye.
Well, it also gives you a real appreciation for how hard Barkley worked for those rebounds when he's not even taller than the tallest guy in Nirvana. There was a long gap between Barkley hosting. He's done it quite a few times recently, but I remember him regaling us with stories of the first time he hosted and saying that he was in his dressing room when Nirvana was, when you guys were doing your songs, and he said, I was sitting there and I was like, are they saying rape me?